The ocean is a wonderful, frightening place. We've only discovered a mere 5% of it. Just saying that out loud right now makes my toes curl up a bit. I don't like it. What's happening, guys? Happy Thursday and welcome back to Life's Biggest Questions. We have billionaires that are going to space. There's new exoplanets being discovered every other day. There's UFOs on the news now. What's going on? It's a pretty wild time for space science. I'll admit it's exciting, but what about our planet? What about the mysteries that lurk below our feet? I'm Taylor McWaters, and today we ask, what is hiding at the bottom of the ocean? Grab your snorkel, hit that recliner, let's dive in. Sure, space is empty and endless, and time doesn't matter, and we don't matter. But here on Earth, the ocean, although 95% undiscovered, is full of life. We're discovering new fish all the time, and I gotta tell you, some of these things are way more frightening than an actual alien, in my opinion. Like if aliens came, I'd be like, okay, let's just fight them. I don't know. In fact, I'm pretty sure half of these new creatures that we're finding are aliens. Like the Duobrachia sparksay, for example, that was discovered very recently, and basically it's a jellyfish. It lights up with bioluminescence and it moves like a hot air balloon. It's fascinating. It's a fascinating creature. Or how about the silly string O'Death? This giant siphonophore apolemia was discovered in the deep sea canyons off Ningaloo. While it's easy to love these new creatures simply based on how cool they are to look at, creatures like the immortal jellyfish could be the key to advanced human life. I know you're thinking, okay, this is starting to sound like a Marvel movie. This sounds like supervillain origins in the making. Guy pokes an immortal jellyfish, starts stinging people, now we gotta pee on each other's feet just to get by. That's not the case here, not at all. It was said over 4,000 years ago to Gilgamesh that the secret to immortality lies in the coral on the ocean floor. And in 1988, German marine biologist Christian Sommer found it. It wasn't the trident of Poseidon, but instead off the cliffs of Portofino he discovered Turritopsis dohrnii, the immortal jellyfish. This is basically the Benjamin Button of sea life. He was studying this creature and it started aging backwards, like literally it was getting younger and younger. It was reversing the life cycle. This is huge. What's laying on the bottom of the ocean? I don't know, Paul Rudd's secret to immortality apparently. Another theory is treasure. Yeah, listen up all you buccaneers. There have been so many shipwrecks all throughout history that right now, as you watch this video and click that thumbs up, right now, there's currently about $60 billion worth of sunken treasure out there, just waiting for your flippers to find them. In 2012, we discovered the Port Nicholson, this World War II British merchant ship that sunk with $3 billion worth of treasure gone, just like that, because Captain Eyepatch couldn't hang a left turn. Shortly after that, shipwreck hunters found the remains of HMS Victory, ironic name, which sank in 1744 with $1 billion worth of gold. Now, it's not just finders keepers. You can't just swim out in the ocean and be like, oh, I see the boat, now I'm rich, let's get out of here. No, it's not like that. As lovely as that sounds, it doesn't work that way. When an American company recovered $500 million in gold and silver from a ship in Spain that went down in 1804, they lost the rights to its treasure. Can you imagine that? They're like, guys, we're rich. They're like, no, actually, we're rich. You're not. Get out of here. Thanks for finding that for us. Don't forget to validate your parking on the way out. Poor man. There's a lot of treasure in the sea, basically, is what I'm saying. But there's also a lot of garbage. Yeah, trash. Humans kind of suck. I mean, look at the top of the Pacific, for example, not even below it. But right on the surface, we have something called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. It's located safely in the North Pacific subtropical gyre, and there's basically 4 of these large systems, just swirling ocean currents, moving warm and cool water around. They're whirlpools that are now filled with garbage. Used to be a nice tropical way of water moving on the planet. Now it's like, oh, we found a Twix wrapper in the middle of nowhere. Great. A plastic bag was found recently at the bottom of the Marianas Trench. Some guy bought spaghetti from the grocery store, tossed it out, and now we have the deepest piece of trash in human history. Way to go, guys. Killing it. But how do these planes and shipwrecks end up at the bottom of the ocean? What's going on there? The Bermuda Triangle, or Devil's Triangle, or Limbo of the Lost, whatever you want to call it, is located in the North Atlantic Ocean. Now, you won't be able to find it on a map because the US Board on the Geographic Names doesn't recognize the Devil's Triangle as an actual location, but it's so well known at this point that everyone knows what we're talking about, thanks to TVs, shows, video games, you name it. It spans over 500,000 square miles of the Atlantic Ocean. The triangle points go from the southern tip of Florida to San Juan, Puerto Rico, and then of course Bermuda. Sure, people think that it's alien central. This is like the hidden underwater base or whatever. It's actually white squalls that are the reason behind all these shipwrecks. These bursts of air that would push planes and ships, anything in that specific part of the ocean, it would push it down into the water. There's probably the most gold in that area because of the hundreds of shipwrecks. Just saying, the Devil's Triangle might be a pretty good place to start looking, as bad as that sounds. The idea of an underwater civilization also sounds pretty insane. I mean, I don't think we have Atlanteans just swimming about, but once upon a time there could have been. Found 65 feet below sea level off the coast of Sweden. Researchers from London University found a Stone Age civilization that seems to be 9,000 years old. They found all these crazy artifacts, an elk antler axe. Some of these discoveries they still have yet to work out, but researchers have pointed out that these people had good lives based on what they found. They didn't find iPads or anything, but they lived comfortably. There was lots of food, it was warm out. I mean, there's no Wi-Fi, so it couldn't have been that great, but it was doable. It was like a nice cottage all the time. So the sea rose up over time, and this lagoon surrounded by a forest just ceased to exist. It got swallowed by the ocean. Which brings us to my last point. The more ocean we discover, the more we learn about our past. And if we could also find treasure, that'd be pretty great as well. It would pay for the funding, I don't know. But before we head out, guys, what about you? What do you think lies at the bottom of the ocean, truly? Is it a graveyard of ships? Do aliens live in Atlantis now and party with starfish? Drop those crazy theories in the comments down below and I'll shout out some of my favorites on the next one. Thanks so much for sticking around. I'm your host, Taylor McWaters, and we'll see you next time on Life's Biggest Questions. See ya.